Purpose will require you to prioritize it and forget about meeting your needs, because your real needs, what you really need, your job can't provide for it, but purpose can.
You are here. Welcome to the Purpose Finder podcast. This is the show where we uncover why you are truly here and, more importantly, how to make it your reality. My father, the late Dr. Myles Munroe, said the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without purpose. And research further shows that people with a strong sense of purpose are 2.4 times more likely to feel fulfilled. Each week, I sit down with extraordinary guests, entrepreneurs, artists, thought leaders who are boldly living their why. We dive deep into their journeys, the struggles they have overcome, their breakthroughs, and the lessons that can help you do the same. I am your beautiful host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn, and we're about to explore the mindsets, tools, and strategies to help you live a life with purpose, passion, and legacy. Are you ready? Let's go and dive into the episode. Welcome back to another amazing, wonderful episode of the Purpose Finder podcast, where our mission is simple: to inspire you to find and uncover your life purpose and to live a life overflowing with three things: meaning, fulfillment, and significance. Why? We all crave belonging. No one wants to feel unfulfilled. And we all want an answer to that big question: why in the world am I here? Well, I hope you allow your answer to be here right on the podcast. I am your host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn, and this is where we dive deep into purpose and how it sets the tone for every aspect of your life. And today, I have the honor, the privilege of sitting down with a friend, a brother from another mother, like they say, just someone who doesn't only talk about purpose, but he's actually living out his purpose boldly. We're going to learn about his journey, his stories, and lessons along the way. Help me welcome Mr. Charlie Masala. Charlie, welcome to
Thank
the
you.
pod. And this one is very special because we're doing this in person.
Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you,
the
Charles.
first one in person.
First
So
time, and not just in person, but in Africa, in the motherland.
I'm presently in South Africa, which is where Charlie's from. So actually, let me give you this opportunity to tell the listeners who you are, what you do, where you're from, and all that good stuff.
Well, my name is Charlie Masala, as you have alluded to, and I was born in a village in the north part of this country, South Africa, in a place called Venda. We lived in huts, and I remember those days when my mother would make fire in the middle of the hut, and one side of the hut she kept our goats and chickens. The other side of the same hut, and one side of the same hut would be my brothers and I's bedroom. I could call it maybe bed space.
It wasn't a room,
so
huh?
so that's where I was born, and I remember growing up there and taking care of goats and cattle and doing village stuff, and I attended my school there, my primary school, secondary school, and I then moved to Pretoria when I came to study. And that's when my life changed. I was born again in 1985, and coming up to Pretoria in 1991, that's when 1990 actually, my life would change when I came across Dr. Myles Munroe on the small screen in Venda. He was talking about the very subject that you are talking about today: purpose and vision. And that was my introduction of Dr. Munroe. And I remember, the voice of God talking to me that this is your life is assigned to this man. It's intertwined. So your destinies are together, are gonna meet together, and that happened.
That happened. So let's fast forward all the way to now.
Hmm.
Now you are a senior pastor
Yes.
of your own church here in South Africa, and you are building your own
Mhm.
building for the church, and so you're doing big things, like they would say
Mhm.
in the world. However, where you are now with a congregation, with your own church, with followers,
Mhm.
it didn't always start there, or it didn't start there.
No, it.
So I find that you're on the apex.
Mm.
But I also have watched your purpose. There was a season of your life when you were living it out boldly, but
Mm.
it looked different.
Yeah.
You weren't a pastor then, you didn't have a church then,
Mm.
but now here you are still living out purpose, living it out boldly with a pastor, as a pastor with a church.
Mm.
But let's talk about when you met Dad.
Mhm.
Um, and this is what makes Charlie so special on the podcast, because I met Charlie because he was serving my father. And so I don't want to talk too much about it because I want you to share what was it that made you realize that serving Dr. Myles Munroe was your calling for as long as you did.
Yeah.
You didn't just serve Dad for 2, 3, 4,
Mhm.
5 years. It
Yeah.
was years of your life.
Yeah. Almost. I mean, just a little over 27 years. But when I got that nudging from the Holy Spirit, I was still in Venda. In 1990, I was watching that video on a borrowed TV, because we didn't have TV at our home, so we used to borrow watching experience from one of the people there, for one of the houses we used to visit. And when the Lord gave me that word, and 3 years down the line, I hear that Myles Munroe is coming to South Africa, and I just knew that I needed to no matter what it takes, I had to be at the place where he was coming. So I prepared myself to go, and I spoke to the host, and I asked the host to meet him, because I told him the story of what the Lord, showed me three years before then, and that's what I did. That's how that's how convinced I was that I was to serve. So my serving, by the time I came closer to him, I knew that I was to serve. My job was to, serve him. And at the time, I was working well. I was HR manager and of different companies through that time. And when I was then told by God to serve Him full time, I was now running my own business in management consulting. So serving was just a part of was a stronger, bigger part of that journey. I would say that purpose without servanthood doesn't work too well.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose will always require you to serve your gift to others.
And at what point did you leave your own business
I
to
left
go
my
full
own
time?
I left my own business when the Lord, nudged me again to put aside my agenda so that I could put, forward Dr. Monroe's agenda, because I started to realize that nothing much was going to happen for his ministry here in Africa if I don't get involved and do my part. And of course, when I looked at it, hindsight, looking at it, I realized that truly I had to do that, because in that 15, 20 years, of serving him, the last 10 years was the most impactful of his life. And we didn't know that then he was not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So if I didn't follow purpose, I would have missed it. I would have missed an opportunity to to serve him, and opportunity would have been missed also for him to be able to impact Africa the way he did in the last 10 years. The last 10 years of his life is when were able to cover so many countries. Why? Because I was now full time. I was now able to use my time full time into doing that.
I have two questions to ask, starting with one. When you got nudge number one and nudge number two,
Mm.
did you ever have that Jonah effect
What is the Jonah effect?
where you're running the opposite direction, telling God, you sending me, I'm not going.
Oh,
Where you rejected, where you're like,
yeah.
I don't want to. Like, did you run and then God caught up with you, or was it an automatic?
Well, when I got that message, after listening to him, and the Lord tells me I'm going to work with him, our paths are going to intertwine, I got excited.
Mm.
So by the time when opportunity to serve was allowed, I was allowed that opportunity to serve coming as a student with no offering or no money to give, but just give me, and he accept that gift, just a gift of me. I was excited that I have an opportunity to be able to do what I felt was the will of God, you know. But of course, what happened is, even though I did not have that, do I go, don't I go effect, but the reality is that I was moving out from a life of comfort, from a life of salary, from a life of not just a salary, but a big salary, because I was HR manager already at the time. And now I was running my own business when that happened. So I had to then decide that this purpose is bigger. The purpose of serving him and impacting the world is bigger than me sitting in my business, making a profit and just driving cars and living in good houses and dressing well.
So that brings me to question number two.
Mhm.
When you got nudge number two to now work full time
Mm.
with dad, Dr. Myles Munroe, was there a pay cut?
Well, what happened is I was serving him from South Africa. So when God told me that, there was not a position. Myles Munroe didn't advertise a position. God told me separately, secretly, and I had to then move. By moving meant that I had to set up systems. I have to set up an office,
So you had to create a position for
create a
yourself.
position, and also set up that office and ask my friends and family and partners to support what I was getting ready to do. So, and I did that for 2 years. We set up an office in the office park without even him, Dr. Monroe, knowing that I was doing that. By the time he knew that I have left my job and now was full time in doing his work, he was very surprised. But there were fruits to show, because there was an office standing with his name on it, and I don't know why that name is still there at the gate. I passed the office park, and the name is still there. So I don't know whether it's what they are using it to sell that Myles Munroe used to be here or whatever. We moved from that office, but the name is still there.
So you went from having a salary
So
to essentially having nothing.
yeah, so I moved from now not just having a salary, but having a profit, because I was running now my own business. You know, so I had to say to my clients, which included government departments and municipalities and private companies, and say, I don't do that no more. I can only come and speak for an hour or so, but I'm not doing consulting work because I don't have the time anymore. So I had to walk away from that. Walking away from that meant that I'm walking away also from responsibilities of paying bills, you know. But the power of me following my purpose was more stronger than just a paycheck or profits.
So there's so many people who listening, men and women, who I know struggle with God is nudging you.
Mm.
Not one nudge, not two nudges. There are three nudges of, I want you to go forth.
Yeah.
I need you to leave your company. I need you to do this for me. I need you to serve this person. And there's this fear. There's this I'm one foot in and one foot out. There's this, but I'm making all this money. How am I gonna now provide for my family? How am I gonna like what's gonna be the compensation? So you have people who either say no
Mm.
to this call of purpose
Yes.
or they move slow.
Yeah.
How 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 do you advise, or what would you advise those who are listening
Mm.
in in that season of their life, in that space where there is a decision to be made
Mhm.
and they are struggling?
Yeah. It's very interesting that when you can't serve purpose without having faith.
Mm,
There's a big faith element in one serving,
absolutely.
in serving your purpose, and also the trick is that the enemy want us to always look at our needs. The challenge and the temptation is for us to look at our needs, and most of the time we miss purpose. It is challenging, I must agree, because I walked that path and I know what it means to speak to the bank, because once you do that and you have got bills to pay, you've got a house that you're still paying and cars that you're still paying, and you walk away from the sources, from the known
Certainty.
natural sources of income, to do that. The banks, after 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, the first month they say, hey, the second month they say, hey, the third month they say, hey,
Hey.
fourth month they say we are coming. So so
But
so
it's real. This is real stuff.
it is real stuff.
Mm.
So I had to, and at the time, obviously I told my wife that she didn't have to work.
Mm.
She had to leave working, and she had a good job at the presidency of our country, and she had to then come back home when she was expecting our firstborn Zoe. I said to her she doesn't have to work another day in her life. Okay, so she was home. So God is calling me when both of us will be without a job.
Mm.
Okay, so the bank came obviously and knocked. I remember this day when a woman came from the bank and said that she came to take pictures of our house because our house must
Market.
go on what do you call it, execution of
Foreclosure.
where the
On the mark.
auction. They were going to auction our
Auction.
house.
Okay.
So they had to, yeah, they were going to repossess it or foreclose it
Mhm.
and then auction it. So she came with a camera to take pictures of the house. I will never forget this day. I see her walk, she walked through our door, and then on the side was a picture of Dr. Myles and Mama Ruth Munroe. And she says, do you know these people? I said, yeah, I know them a little bit. And then she started talking about them. And then we sat down on the table and started to talk about their work and so on. So then in the process, I tell her, no, I worked with him and so on. And, we working together and so on and so on. And she then, forgot what she came to do.
Mm.
She didn't take pictures that day. I don't know what she told the bank. She left, and even today she haven't come back.
Mm.
But here's what God did. God then supplied that need, and we were able to pay our arrears in the house and not lose the house. That's why I'm saying that for you to serve purpose, and that is why Jesus said you cannot serve two masters, because you will honor the one and despise the other.
Mm.
You cannot serve, he says, both God and mammon.
Mm.
So purpose will require you to to prioritize it and forget about meeting your needs, because your real needs, what you really need, your job can't provide for it, but purpose can.
Absolutely.
I was telling a pastor who came to visit just this afternoon and I'm asking him about. I asked him a question because he said he wanted to come and learn from what we're doing here and so on, because somehow the word comes out that we are building and so he came in here. So I asked him, how long have you been in the ministry? He said 23 years. I said, okay, how many members you have? He said about 40. I said, you want to tell me that for the last 23 years you were working on 40 people?
Mm.
Then I knew immediately that he have found his purpose, but the needs are pressing him. Then I realized immediately, I knew he can't be full time. Because when you are full time in things, in your purpose will always generate. Your purpose will generate revenue for you. Purpose will meet those needs. So obviously it's not growing. Why? Because he discovered purpose, but he is prioritizing, uh, self-preservation. He's wanting to make sure that it's preserved himself and his family.
And this is some of the
So he
things.
left here very confused and very concerned that he needs to go and pursue his purpose.
But he's a representation of the majority of people in the world.
Yes, people
Yes.
live like that. Yes.
And to a point, rightfully so.
Mm.
But then there does come this understanding. There does come this realization that I can't do it by myself.
Mhm.
Purpose is not for me to do on my own account, on my own accord, on my own strength, on
Yes,
my own power.
yeah, and
And so
supply.
I'm
You
glad that you brought in the faith element, because faith, purpose without faith at the core, at the foundation, because especially when you discover your purpose, you are never discovering it at the moment where you have the full capacity to fulfill it.
Mhm.
So essentially, your purpose should always look big and scary to you
Yes.
when you first discover it, when
That's
you
it.
first realize that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, because it's bigger than you.
Absolutely.
And it requires, if it's bigger than you, it means also it requires more than what you can offer. So that is where I think many people, as you say, the majority of the people just live to get by. And I'm sorry to say that many will die that way. Because the pressure of the world, of the things of the world, and the pressures of the needs, and of wanting to look flashy in nice cars, and and show ourselves properly in the world, that temptation can make you lose sight of your vision.
But even you saying that is nudging. You have no idea how much is nudging at my soul. Because to hear you say, and the unfortunate part is, many will die that way.
Yes.
Like that is almost the reason why I created Pave the Path. Purpose Finder podcast.
Yes.
Is to assist people, is to help, is to empower, is to align my vision with theirs, hopefully, so that they don't be another one that the grave gets the best of. And so sometimes I can do that. Sometimes I bring others like you who have been through the trenches. You've been through the valley. You've been through the challenges. And even though you're at the apex of,
And I'm still going through the patches and what.
well, there
because-
is this up and down.
Yeah, because they will be up and down.
But I love the fact that you don't, Charlie, you may be in a valley now. Let's say you're in a valley now. This is only one of the many valleys
Yes.
that you've been in the last 30 plus years, 40 years. But you've always made it up.
Yes.
You've always made it back to the top.
And I know that God will always supply for what He is expecting. What He's expecting from us, He already put it in. But I think He gets disappointed in many of us that He wants us to do something big and something great with us, but we haven't moved to that level where we can say, I'm going to risk all these things and then go for it. You will never know that a parachute works until you jump out of an aeroplane.
So 20 years ago, how did you do it though? Because I'm hearing you talk as someone who's 40, 50 years in.
Mm.
But 20 years ago, you were also being molded. You were also growing in your valley.
Mhm.
How did you do it then? Because that's where someone listening is gonna see themselves in your story, see themselves in your journey, and said, "Wow, if that is what he went through, from a family perspective, from relationships perspective, from a financial perspective, from a ego as a man perspective,
Yes.
if he went through that."
Mm.
And is still able to now stand and do what you do. You know, you're a pastor, you're an author times two,
Mm.
and some coming,
Mm.
they get to say, if he did it, man, so can I.
Yes.
How did you do it 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when you kept going in the valley and then you go to the top, but then you kept going in the trenches?
Talking about you just talked now about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things that I'm so excited about in my life is the fact that I married a woman who understand purpose and who understood when I don't think it's so easy for a woman to understand that now we're going to go through a journey, through the
The
valley
desert.
of the shadow of death in the desert without knowing, knowing very well that you're not going to dress the way you used to. You're not going to have, you're running a risk of even losing a home or cars and whatever. And the amazing thing is we never lost a car, we never lost a home. And God provided in an amazing way. But God doesn't start by providing material resources and resources we need for the journey. What I learned is that God works just as he did with Abraham, where he said to Abraham, I I want you to go. He says, go. And he doesn't tell him to wait, doesn't give him a location. Just when you were leaving the hotel where you stay, you said, send me what? Location. God doesn't work that way. He doesn't give you GPS. He says to Abraham, go to the place I will show you as you
As
go.
you go.
You see,
Mm.
so how it works with God, and I can tell you even the story of this property, this campus we're building here. When we started building this campus, we had just enough money to hire the TLB, the earth moving equipment, to dig the trenches. And from that time on, as we heard from God and started, all the provisions start to plug in. We are now sitting at 60% completion of the project, but God didn't it doesn't give you a word and then give you everything to go. That's government. That's how government works. That's how companies work. So we can't come to God with the idea and mindset of how government projects works, where you work with all the money waiting for you. God doesn't work that way. God says, start and I'll provide for you as you go. Just as how he provided manna for the children of Israel. And it's one day at a time. He gave us and he promised us a daily bread, not weekly or monthly, daily. So, in other words, you must believe God for a fresh daily provision. That's how God works. That's what uh, I'm learning and I've learned in the process. But if you're waiting for everything to be in place, you will never ever start. You will never ever work for God effectively. You got to be like stupid. You got to be like someone who lost his mind. When we this property here, it's about 8.5 acres of land. When God told us to chase this land, we were 34. We were 34 heads here at the community. That 34 included our children. That means the kids of the members also. 34 of us. And when I declared that day, I know I felt like I was crazy because I was declaring things and talking to the people who I'm sure were wondering, is this going to be done by us? And I said to them, no, this is God's work. So when you do God's work, you can't budget it on the basis of the pockets of the people. Why? Because the idea is not to put pressure on the people, but you must put pressure on the promise that God has given you. So you go back to God and say, God, you send me, it's you who nudged me to start this. And then know that you are sincere in your heart, that you are doing it for God and not for your ego. And God will always, I find him coming through. So that is why we're doing great things here. We are about 100 and something now in terms of membership, but we know that this is too big just for the members to do it. It's God's project.
Now you're 4 years old right now.
Yeah, we are 4
The
years.
ministry.
Yes.
You're 4 years old, but there's a piece that I want to talk about. That's a disconnect
Yes.
that we need to reconnect.
Okay.
So you talked about working and serving Dr. Munroe for as long as he lived.
Yes.
Then 2014 happened
2014 happened.
to all of us.
Yes.
And Dr. Munroe is no longer here.
Yes.
At that time, he was now your.
He was everything.
He was everything.
He's
He
a
was
man.
everything to you relationally, but he was also in a position, and you had created a position enough to where it was also now financially sourcing.
Mhm.
But your purpose was in serving him at the time.
Yes.
That was your purpose, Charlie.
Yes. That was my
purpose
purpose,
was
and I
serving.
believed that was what I had to do.
Then he's no longer.
Mm.
How have you managed?
Well, it took us 7 years. 7 years of listening, 7 years of waiting upon the Lord for direction. Because when that happened, when 2014 November 9th happened, I asked God, why did I remain? Why did I remain? I remember someone calling me who watched CNN, because CNN also carried a story which had a picture of me with Dr. Munroe on the jet. That is when people in South Africa believed that I was in that jet, that I'm gone, like they believe you were gone. And they came to my house, by the way. Cars were full there at my house. My wife just had a baby, about Okaria was like 7-8 days old. So people had to went there to try and comfort a widow. They went there with cookies and other things because they believed they were going to a home where there's going to be a
Now,
funeral.
at this time, had she spoken to you to learn the
This
truth?
time she has spoken to me, and she learned that I was not.
So she's aware
I
of
was
the
not
truth.
in. So she was
Okay.
aware of the truth,
Mhm.
but people were not aware. So they went. So it was a difficult period
Absolutely.
of sitting and waiting, and some sort of mocking, giving mocking words and speaking not so nice, almost like, okay, you trusted that and it's not here and whatever. So it wasn't an easy one. For that 7 years, we sat, we waited, and I remember when the Lord says, well, I've given you so much, and you cannot just sit in the street and suck your fingers and not know what to do. I've given you so much. Then that scripture came in. To him who much is given, much is required. And I started seeing Dr. Munroe's burden, for which has always been our burden, of transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. I started, seeing pictures of the message of the kingdom being butchered or being fading and stuff like that. And I started to feel that I must echo, and, I must speak. I must, in a way, continue to speak about purpose. And I remember there was a church in Indonesia who I was talking to, because at that time I was already in taking care of Africa and Asia, and those trips in the Israel and stuff like that. So this woman says, "I know Dr. Munroe is not here. He's going to be with the Lord, but I feel that you must come. You must still come. And I know that you would not have come alone. You would have come with Mama Ruth. So you must come with your wife."
I remember
And
this trip.
I know that I was gonna, we're not gonna fly him anyhow. We're gonna fly him first class. We will do the same for you, and you will stay in our, campus in the upper. I didn't have an idea of what that looked like, but wow, I was blown. My mind was blown by that trip. We went there. They arranged about. I spoke 17 times in 7 days. 17 times.
Do you feel,
I was
Charlie?
speaking every day. This was my very first, and but I could feel the Holy Spirit taking over my teachings, and so I addressed, and I remembered, God brought into my remembrance, and of the teachings that Dr. Munroe did, and luckily, of course, he gave me his PowerPoint, so I was ready for that trip.
Do you feel that the entire time you were serving Dad, you think you're serving him? Do you believe that it was actually God also preparing you for that, from that trip in Indonesia on to now?
Hey, purpose seekers. If today's conversation has you thinking about your purpose, what it is, how to find it, and how to truly live it, then I have something special just for you. Introducing the Purpose Finder Formula. And you have free access to this 20-minute training designed to help you uncover your purpose and start living it with confidence. No fluff, no guesswork. It's clear, practical, step-by-step guide to finding meaning and gaining clarity and direction. Your purpose is calling. Are you ready? Head over to www.charissamunroe.com/Purpose Finder Formula. Enter your info and I'll send it straight to your inbox. Imagine waking up every day knowing your life has meaning, impact, and joy. That's what awaits you. So don't wait. Grab your free training today. Let's get back to the episode.
Only now I know that that was a preparation. And to a point where even what is happening on this campus, I know that it's not something that will be happening to a rookie or to someone who have not served. So I can tell that what's happening here. We can say we started 4 years ago, but the truth is that we started way back then. Because all that experience, in exposure, all that exposure and all that serving and so on is what is making this community move. So I know this. I know that what we're doing here is powered from somewhere. I know that it's powered from that serving. I know that God was preparing me for this moment. And there are things that Dr. Myles Munroe would not have lived in the flesh to achieve, which will be achieved by this institution. I know without a doubt that when he talked about, the building the institute to train leaders and stuff like that, I know that for a fact that we are one of those who are to make it happen. And that is what we exist for here in this campus. That burden of transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change is the reason why we're going out to these communities to find some other Charlies, who are staying with no hope, with no parents. Some of them are orphans, HIV and AIDS orphans and stuff like that, and people with no hope, in drugs and in alcohol and all that, who will walk through those doors, and who we will walk into their spaces and impact their lives. And my story must then be told by many young people. That is my my focus.
And I'm forced to ask another question. This is so powerful. Do you believe that if Dad was still here, so Dad has been gone 10 years, do you believe if he was still here, would you still be serving him like you was 2014, 2013? Or do you believe that at some point you would have, started doing your own thing?
No, I don't see. I would never have seen myself starting my own thing unless if he said, go and start. I was gonna, my life was lined up just serving him. I was still, if he was around, I would still be with him. That is for a fact. That's with no doubt. But God would not have shown himself the way he's showing himself now. In other words, all you see here on this campus would not be.
And I asked that question because right where you were is right where I was, serving him. Now, unlike you, I had one foot in, one foot out. I was 1 foot still doing social work.
A system of the world.
And I was 1 foot working for him part-time, but still I was serving him and working for him, meaning serving him, my brother and I. And that is what Charo and I said, this is what we are supposed to do. Yes. I mean, it was just beautiful to see Dad even at 55, 58, 60, only get a second win at life. And it was like having you, having me, and having Charo close by and underneath was all that he needed to say, now I could take off. And so it was beautiful to watch. It was beautiful to be a part of, and it was beautiful for me to know that I get to serve him in a way where he and Mom can shine and don't have to worry about anything. And so when I say my life for the next 50 years would have been serving my dad in that capacity, that would have been.
Yes.
Never would I have imagined that I would be speaking on stages to thousands of people, standing before a king, and my dad isn't even there, let alone my own podcast. It just was not in my...
It was not in our radar.
It wasn't in my mind. It wasn't in my vision. But God didn't... But he knew. I think God also knew that I wouldn't have started.
Yeah, I wouldn't have stepped out and started.
I wouldn't have started anything.
We all would not have started.
If Dad was still very much here.
If he was here, definitely.
Because it was comfortable, like you say. Yeah. For me, Dad was comfort.
Yeah.
For me, Dad was certainty. For me, he was everything. And it was also when God showed me that I need you to not put trust in no one else.
Yes, but me.
But me.
Yeah. But God wants us. It delights him to know that we don't trust in humans, that we trust in him, even though we serve him through human beings, but he wants you to arrive at a place where he can take away all the idols around you. Because some of the things that we trust in could become our idols, even when it's not intended.
Exactly.
Because we start to think that, when you think provision and think of all that, we look at those people or at those things, But God wants us, I think he's delighted to know that you can come as you. I can come as me and say, Father, if you don't show up here, we're dead. We're gone. We can't do anything without you.
And purpose.
That is what it's about. So I want to share with you, in line with what we're talking about, in line with him being here, not being here. I remember in the last set of trips, October of 2014, I was with him the whole month, from the first to the last day of the month. We traveled so many countries. But there was something that happened in Burundi. President Pierre Nkurunziza wanted him to do a service at State House. And he decided that he was going to do praise and worship. So the president was going to be praise and worship leader, and Myles Munroe was going to teach on the kingdom. So we went there, and it happened exactly there. The president was leading praise and worship, and the praise and worship team was his bodyguards. It was a beautiful thing to see. After that night, when we arrived at the hotel, we get to the lobby. Dr. Myles Munroe sit on the sofa. He put his feet on the stool. He takes his hands, put him on his head, and he said, "Today, I saw something that I wanted to see for a long time." And he said, "I said, what was that?" He said, and he was telling not just me. I was there. Manja was there, and other people that were traveling with him to tour for the trip. And he said, "I always wanted to see a worshiping king. And today
I saw it.
I saw it." Almost like to say my 360 is complete.
My work is finished.
And then he says, "You guys don't need me. Shall you don't need me? Manja, you don't need me." And the people were there. "You don't need me. You can teach the kingdom. I taught you enough. I've done enough for you. You don't need me." It only makes sense afterwards. We were talking about it with Manja and them just about a month ago, reminiscing on that trip. And he said, "You don't need me. I've taught you. You can teach others." But it didn't look like something that was anywhere possible or anywhere in the close future. So he said that today I've seen something that I wanted to see for a long time, to see a worshiping king, the president leading worship.
And what I love about purpose, as I listen to you, when I think about Dad being here, not here, and also not even watching, being able to see us do what we do now.
As we think, because according to the word, those who have gone before us form part of the cloud of witnesses. Okay, so it's not like they don't see. What they don't do is to give us feedback.
Exactly. So he's watching. He's indeed watching.
So they're watching, and
he's watching.
And the Bible says they're cheering us on. There's a time when you're teaching and you know that there is another audience. There is another audience which is wishing you. The local audience want you to deliver, but there's another audience which is cheering you on and say, "Charles, I know you can do this." And I felt like that many times.
And when I think about where we are now, like you have people wondering, so are you saying that for the last 30 years of serving him, that wasn't your purpose and you have a new purpose now? I don't know that it's new, but I love to describe purpose as this ever-growing onion. And there are these layers of our purpose as a whole that we get exposed to as we experience life or as we grow, as we expand in capacity. So when you were with Dad for those 30 years, there's this growing of Charlie in capacity to what God has coming for him 20 years later. There's this maturity that's happening during that time. There's this growing of character that's happening while you're working. So even though your purpose at that time was to serve him, there was a lot of other things happening because the other layer of your purpose that was coming after he left is now here.
Yeah.
And so we don't get to, it's not a matter of, well, I was wasting time, and that wasn't my purpose then. This is my purpose now. It's now I have a different layer that I can actually handle, that I can be exposed
Yeah.
to.
I would call it a function. Okay. Purpose didn't change. I'm still pushing the same mandate. I'm still pushing the same purpose. I was there to support him on the same purpose. So when he disappears on the scene, I continue to do that, but on a different role. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, a different platform.
On a different platform, but we're pushing the same message. The heart of this ministry is still transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change, which is our purpose. So that didn't change. The only thing that changed is that the bag of Dr. Myles Munroe is not here for me to carry it. His schedule, physical schedule, is not here for me to populate it with speaking engagements and going to places to prepare.
And let me interject right here, because me being young, my young self, I've been able to see you serve Dad. And now I'm also able to witness you being served. Charlie, you served for so many years.
Which I struggle with, by the way, being served.
But you served Dad so many, and I mean, I watch you, that same bag you're talking about, for years, I watch you carry that bag. And Dad's bag was always full. It was always heavy.
Yeah,
but I watch you pull that bag, pull up, and his little 2 feet walking fast. And I watch you going.
And it's you who was getting the money out of the bag, and me carrying.
Shh. Don't tell our secrets. But now here we are, 10 years later.
Yeah.
And from a distance, close distance, I'm watching your bag now being carried by your I don't want to call them servants, but people who are purposed to serve you. They're carrying your bag. They're calling you shy ambassador, as the father of the house and senior pastor. And it's beautiful to see when you talk about a baton being passed, that is a true baton being passed.
Yeah, that's what I hear many places, many times. I hear that, and I think God checks our motives. Okay, my motive was never to be around Dr. Munroe so that one day I can start a church. I never wanted to start a church. It was not on my radar. It's not what I wanted to do. I'm still surprised even today what I'm doing. It was never what I wanted to do. But I think God checks our motives. And when he checks that we have no other ulterior motives, he can entrust us with his bigger purposes.
He can elevate, he can promote.
Yes. So that I've seen in my own life. I mean, I was not writing books, and the Lord started to nudge me again to write books. I must get one out this year.
You must.
You see, so each year, my goal was to get a book each year. Because I have 7 of them that needs to be out. So, and that is coming again from a life of serving, where I'm serving without thinking, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, and stuff like that. Some people might want to be like me, but the reality is that to be me, you must go through that valley.
I say it all the time.
See what I'm saying?
To get to that mountaintop.
Yeah, you must go through that valley because it doesn't start where I am. It starts there.
And it's coming. Even if it don't start there, let's say, because many people start at the top. But you're going to eventually end up. And, I had this picture. Someone shared this picture with me. We talk about going from apex to apex, from mountaintop to mountaintop. And there ain't never no ladder from the mountaintop to the mountaintop. Even if you look at mountains in the world, there is always going to be a valley you must go through to get to the other mountaintop.
Mm-hmm.
And people would love to run away from the valleys,
Yes.
wanting to get to the mountaintop,
Mountaintop,
not
yes.
realizing that, man, there's going to come this time where I must be persecuted. I must be tested. Like God needs to test us to make sure that when I take you to that mountaintop, it's going to be higher than where you are now.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to handle it? Are you going to be able to control yourself? Is your character going to stand?
Yeah. So sometimes you can bribe your way to the mountaintop, which is what you say, and then not be able to withstand
The altitude.
that altitude.
Yes.
Why? Because you did not, steadily grew into it. You just found yourself there. You don't even know your way back, by the way, because you never walked there. You were parachuted there.
So, Charlie, please advise those listening, men especially. You being a man, and especially you being a man in a place of servant. Men believe that they are kings, they are leaders. If anything, people should be serving me. But you are a man willing to serve another man for years. How would you advise men and women listening, all the same? How can they allow themselves to go through the valley? But then how do you also work your way up that gradual slope so that when you get to the top, you can actually withstand?
Yeah. I would like to answer that by going back. By the time God promoted me or put me to work with Dr. Myles Munroe, I had served 1, 2, 3, 4 places. Okay. I gave my church back home 10 years of my life, the ministry there. We're serving. We're pitching tents. We're packing benches. We were sleeping on tents, sometimes in foreign countries. I remember us going to Botswana, pitch a tent, and pack benches and have musical instruments in the tent, and we had to sleep there to guard the instruments. I did that 10 years. Coming to Pretoria, I served at a church 12 years of my life. We did so much great things. I gave them 12 years. That is, them and them is 22 years. And then coming to Midrand, serve another 12 years. Okay, so it's 12, which is 24, plus 10, which is 34. And then, of course, I did other international saving and so on. So I got this promotion arriving there, not by accident, but by learning. As you grow in your serving, you learn. Serving a person like Dr. Myles Munroe allowed me to have my character developed. Watching him lead his family, lead his wife, and be a husband, and watching that and say, oh wow, one day I want to be like that. Then it becomes my goal to have a functional family. Watching him refuse. You don't know how many offers we were given. Sometimes when I look at things that are people are prosecuted for or are being tried for, the corruption in the country and so on, and remember that some of those people came and say, we want to offer this and this for you to build that and that. And each time I will say to him, Papa, let's not touch it because that guy is not as clean as you. And he will say, no, let's. If you think that, that's fine. Let's do what you know this place and people better. He never wanted to be financed by dirty money and stuff like that. And I've seen him even go separate ways with people who had bad intentions, but who were able to pay and who had ability to put the money on the table. And he says, Charlie, I go with you. and he will tell them, even though you don't respect him, but he is my authority in the country, and that is character, because some people would easily ditch people who have nothing to offer materially, for big monies and so on. So that watching him stand and have that character helped me build the character, so that when I'm in the valleys and when I'm in the mountaintop, he remained the same person. Dr. Munroe remained the same person, whether he was with a cleaner or a president or a student. It didn't matter for him. He knew that these were images of God. Man was created in the image of God, and he respected everyone. So that kind of should I call it heritage? That's the heritage that we operate from. We operate from a heritage of putting people first, the image of God. So character building, it should go hand in hand with your purpose. Because if you follow your purpose and you don't build your character and your endurance, you will not be able to have the strength to endure hardships as you follow through your purpose. So I knew God was with me, and he was not going to let me lose a house or lose a car and stuff like that. And that's what we saw. And even today, it helps us, that character development help us to be able to build. We receive, money here, we use it towards the building. Each money we get, we use it towards, that's why it's standing. A lot of money which is already in there, because that character was built in us. If it was not built in us, we would be driving big cars with the money which is intended for something else. So that character building helps you to stand.
And ladies and gentlemen, you heard great advice given by Mr. Charlie Masala as it pertains to your purpose. And what do you do when you find yourself in the valley, in the trenches? 1, serve. Serve, serve, serve. 12 years, 10 years, 7 years, find any opportunity you can to volunteer your service, to serve someone else, especially someone that's higher than you. And secondly, build character, develop character. If you want to stand and sustain, build character. If you want to be promoted, build character. If you want to see your purpose actually grow and fulfill before your eyes, build character. Charlie, thank you so much. Time doesn't allow us to go anymore, and there's definitely going to be a part 2. I'm saying it on camera.
Yeah, definitely. Part 2 is a great idea.
But thank you for sharing.
And by the way, I wrote a book on this.
Yes, please let us know. You wrote 2 books.
Yeah.
Please let us know what those 2 books are and where the folks can find them.
Yeah, the first book that I wrote, it's a book that I wrote from an experience of the transition, South Africa transitioning from apartheid to where we are, and having to manage different variables in people and cultures and so on. So it's called Black Son, White Mother. Its own diversity. It helps people to know how do you handle people who don't smell like you, who don't talk like you, who don't speak your language, who are different from you. And the second book is based on what we have been discussing here, my life story with Dr. Myles Munroe. It's called My Life and Times with Myles Munroe. And all these books, you can get them from Amazon. Amazon carries our books. And if you are local, when you come to campus, you can get hard copies also.
So visit Amazon.com. You can find both books written by Charlie Masala. And I hope, if nothing else, if you don't carry one thing, you remember, serve and build character. If you apply, and let me add, get started. Get started. If you want to see your purpose work in your life and function the way that God would have it to function, just get started. If you're afraid, get started. You don't have provisions, get started, and God will supply. Charlie, again, thank you so much for joining me here on the Purpose Finder podcast. I love to end on a very, if nothing else, I don't care if you look like me, if you don't smell like me, if you don't act like me, the one thing that people do and love all the same is eat and food. And I know this is probably the worst time to ask this because you're currently fasting.
Yes.
However, it's one of the things that I enjoy when it comes to life. And I like to share these moments with my guests. And so questions I ask is, what's your favorite food when you're eating? And what's your favorite restaurant?
Well, my favorite restaurant, I'll give you, let me mention two, if I'm allowed.
Sure.
Yeah, because they serve different stuff. If I'm eating African food, I like to go to Zico
I love it.
restaurant, which is
Here in South Africa.
Chef Andile. And if I am going for fine dining, I go to a restaurant called Tang. Tang. It's a Japanese restaurant. Good food. But of course, today,
You're
can't go there.
you're fasting. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and listening to this amazing, amazing episode on the Purpose Finder podcast. I am your host, Charissa Munroe-Wilborn. And until next time, see you soon. Bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap on this episode of the Purpose Finder podcast. I hope today's conversation lit a fire within you because purpose isn't just something you chase. It is something you live every single day. If this episode resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more people on their journey to purpose. Let's continue the journey together. Join the Purpose Finder community on Facebook for exclusive insights, tools, and a tribe of purpose-driven people just like you. And remember, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Your purpose isn't far off. It's already within you. It's time for you to uncover it and live it boldly. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep walking in your purpose.